My name is David Michael. I am the Chief Creative Officer here at Texture. We're a very eclectic group, and we're going to talk with you about Trammwell Crow. If you've been on the water, say in the bay, you'll see the starlings. They will sweep and move in kind of these swarms. We have ocean life. The Garibaldi is all over La Jolla. So we pitched the idea that we would do a sunset pattern across the top, and then across the bottom would be ocean kind of colors. And in the center, you'll have that midline, which is where the second story is. So we worked with that to develop a pattern that would correlate with that. So when people were walking next to it, they would have a direct access, clear visual of what the piece is. So based on their preferences and the budget and the installation, and developed a material where we stacked wood, white acrylic, and clear acrylic. The concept was to mill out through until you get to the clear back layer. And behind the back layer, we're going to integrate LED lights. So they could program that based on what they would want. The conceptual, the design side is very high-minded. It's a back and forth because we have to work knowing that they're going to have to do this soon enough. So we can't just pitch aircraft cable for everything. It's like, it has to be something buildable within a budget that they can work with.
I'm Ben Schmanke. I'm the technical design lead on this project. So that means once the concept is really nailed, it gets passed off to me, and it's time to make things real, put it into paper, put it into drawings. So in this case, it means determining the panel sizes and sourcing the appropriate materials for those panels, and then figuring out which steps the shop are going to go through to create the scoops that kind of represent that flock that David conceived of. We started in 2D with a bunch of oval shapes and partnered with somebody to create a grasshopper script that takes each one of those ovals and creates a three-dimensional vector that the CNC machine can follow. And part of my job is also just figuring out how this thing is gonna stay on the wall. We decided to clad the entire wall in plywood backing, just so we don't have to rely on trying to figure out where stud locations are. And actually, to make sure that we aren't ever screwing into an LED, we laser etched the LED path that we want on that plywood backing, and also laser etched all of the standoff locations so that we're absolutely certain there's no crossover. When it comes to me, it's time to put it into a very accurate 3D model. Through Rhino, our CAD software, you're able to take that 3D model and create the fabrication and installation drawings that provides the roadmap for everybody out in the shop to know at a glance what they're supposed to be doing with their part of the project. The technical design department is really the link between design and fabrication. It's really crucial to think ahead and try to predict what problems you might have to solve before they arise.
My name is Jenna Matus, and I'm a designer here at Texture, and my role in this project was taking our digital concept and turning it into a physical reality. There were a lot of variables that we needed to iron out in this process, and to do that, we did a series of prototyping. We put all of our colors into little cups, spaced them out on a grid, and we built this little wooden contraption, we called it a sled, that we secured our paintbrushes to. We also, in this process, learned how much pressure to apply to our paintbrushes that would allow us to create that even, beautiful paint stroke throughout our entire segment. Once we finalized our prototyping process, we had to move on to our final piece, which was a series of 35 panels. So that meant that we had to blow up our grid system, and this piece became a giant paint by number, where each grid segment had a letter that correlated to a specific paint color. And our little sled that we use now was put onto a giant train track that got swept across the entire piece. It became a delicate dance of teamwork where we had 4 people painting and applying paint, and 2 people on the side that were refilling our paint bottles and pushing the sled to pull the paint across the entire piece. As you can see, it turned out beautifully. We really loved the variation amongst all the panels. There's such a beautiful transition, but each panel individually still has so much uniqueness to it. But this is a really small segment of the entire process, and now we send it off to the CNC so that the scoops can get taken out of it.
name is Alex Ressler. I'm the project manager here at Texture. My role for this project was managing the client from beginning to end and also figuring out the logistics for our installation process. We had 35 panels that we had to figure out how to bring into the space and how we could lay it down without any of these panels being scratched. Also, we had to figure out how to hoist these 4x8 panels onto the wall. We had to hire a scaffolding team to set up scaffold for us. We had a team of 6 people. We had a team of 2 on the ground that were passing these panels up to the team with the scissor lift, and then once the team with the scissor lift would take it up with the team that was on the scaffolding that was pulling it up. We had maybe 10 inches from the stairs to the wall, so if they moved up too quick or weren't in line, it was gonna bang against the staircase or hit the wall and then damage the pieces, which we didn't have time to go back and fix anything. For the installation for all the panels, it took us about 2 weeks to install 35 panels. Each panel is very custom. So when we came into installing the panels, it was a very clean and simple process that we did pretty quick. As project manager, it was great to see all the phases come to life, from the design phase, seeing the modeling, to the renders, to our fabrication team, and how we paint this unique piece, and even to our installation team. I'm really proud to see what we've done and what we accomplished here. It was really great working with the Trammwell Crow team, with Mike and Chris, because they had a lot of feedback. The collaboration with them was a great experience. Personally, there was a lot of late nights, long hours, a lot of coordinating with different departments and with the client. I think not a lot of companies can do what Texture has done here, and I think it's a prime example of what we can do.